McCrea. I'm a 7th grade math teacher right up that hallway.
My name is Pratt. I teach reading for 7th grade right up the hallway.
So we're going to quick run through our agenda. We're going to start out with our problem definition and our theory of change. We're going to move from there into our recommended approach, talk a little bit about our recommended actions, and then the implementation of our project. So here's our problem definition. The overarching problem that we see is that professional development around data-driven instruction with PGCPS is insufficient. We sort of break this down into 3 smaller issues that we see. First one, minimal pre-service training in data-driven instruction. This we can track all the way back to the education school. I'm in a master's program in American right now. My training in data-driven instruction has consisted of 2 classes and a larger assessment course. So really not what we would hope that teachers have for something that we consider to be so important. Also, PEEP, it's sort of brushed over as this is EdgeSoft, this is Performance Matters. Here's how you might get onto those at some point. Also, in-school training available for data is often limited. In middle schools, we have data coaches. Elementary schools, we have testing coordinators. But they are often bogged down with a lot of other things. Plus, coordinating schedules across schools tends to be rather difficult. Teacher planning periods, we don't really have the time to get into the training on an in-depth level. And lastly, PD does not fit the reality of teacher schedules. So I did a quick search through our continuing professional development catalog for this spring. There were 3 courses for data-driven instruction, levels 1, 2, and 3 for Performance Matters. They were all held, although they were online, they were at very specific times, usually right after the school day. We can't always guarantee that teachers are available for that sort of thing. Additionally, there is a website, excuse me, very minimal. Just a couple of videos explaining this might be how you get onto EdgeSoft, maybe. It's not quite what we would hope. And then this all feeds into teachers are not able to center instruction around the students as much as possible. It's always about the students. Here's our theory of change. Those first 2 problems, training and PD, not fitting the reality of teacher schedules. We imagine moving professional development to a Google site, using YouTube videos and data-driven instructional templates, and Andrew's going to show you that in just a second. Handle the minimal pre-service training and data-driven instruction. We can't change the ed schools, but we can change what we do for teachers at PEEP right before they start teaching at the county. We want to streamline data platform access before the start of the school year. And we say that because you don't actually get your EdgeSoft Performance Matters passwords until you get to the building. So there's about 2 weeks of lag time that might be useful to get acquainted with. All that, again, feeds into making professional development accessible to all teachers on their own terms to increase dispersal of knowledge, which again feeds into instruction becomes centered around student needs. And why data-driven instruction? That might be going through some of your heads right now. First thing, successful charter networks, Achievement First, KIP, others, Green Dot, so on and so forth, constantly analyze and leverage data. Constantly. It's a constant teach, test, reflect. Constant cycle, improving their own teaching, seeing where students are at, then moving on. It also provides a base knowledge so instructors can better collaborate with data coaches and testing coordinators. So oftentimes, data coaches are stuck sort of explaining this is how you pull this report. They're spending a lot of time pulling reports instead of getting down to the nitty-gritty of let's actually look at a test. Let's spend our time in a worthwhile manner, and let's get down to what really counts for the kids. Also, I like to think this is a big analogy, so close your eyes for a second, or don't. Pretend the last basketball game you went to. Normal basketball game, just like everything else, 2 teams, coaches, so on and so forth. Except the scoreboard is covered. This would present a very interesting basketball game. I'm from Indiana, I love playing basketball. That would really be difficult, right? You sort of play the game, the coach tells you what to do going in, but as you're playing the game, the coach really doesn't know what else to tell you. They just kind of stand there, hang out. Game's over, buzzer goes off. I didn't know the buzzer was going off. I don't know what the score is. All of a sudden, the scoreboard comes down. Oh, we lost. Shoot. Well, okay. What do we do now? We just kind of move on to the next game, same problem. Data-driven instruction, professional development is kind of like yanking that sheet off the scoreboard. Now coaches can see how much time is left on the clock. Now coaches can see what the score is. If you imagine the last basketball game you went to, those last 3 minutes, there's a lot of strategy changing going on. Teams down, they're going to foul to get the ball. They're going to foul so they get the opportunity to get the ball, score a few more points right before the buzzer goes out. If a team's up, they're going to kill time by passing the ball around, keeping the ball away. Seeing where you are and how much time is left is crucial to basketball strategy. And it is crucial to teaching. If I don't know where my students are at, I don't know how to best help them. I am their coach. I need to know where they're at, and I need to know how to get them there. So we're going to move into recommended approach. Andrew's going to talk a little bit about our demonstrators.
Could you pull up our website? Thank you very much. So let's talk about how you could actually get some of that coaching on your own time. What would this look like? So we actually built a mock-up site, if we can just stay here for just a moment, of what this could look like within the existing Google Sites framework. So this is actually based on some professional level software training sites like lynda.com, which provide tools for people to learn things like Excel or graphic software or programming languages. The basic principles there are you start with exactly what you need to go from scratch to 0 to 60 on your own. So this site would not just tell you, hey, here's some information on EduSoft, but explain why is this available? What's the objective? What do you need to know? And where is the site going to take you before you actually click on anything? So if we could actually go over to the left-hand side and click on the EduSoft training, I just decided to actually make, if we could scroll down as well, a video that I don't want you to listen to because it's just me narrating how to click through EduSoft. But if we could play, and I could sort of talk through, here's an example of how this could actually work to teach people on their own time. Maybe we can blow that up for full screen. EduSoft.
Andrew does have a lovely voice.
EduSoft is really powerful software, but there's a little bit of a learning curve to figuring out how to get out of it what exactly you need. So what I went ahead and did is something that would be a fairly routine exercise for someone in a reading classroom, which is actually pulling information on Scholastic Reading Inventory, or SRI tests, from the beginning of the year. Why would you want to do this? I, for instance, want to use SRI data so that I know how to group my students within my classroom so that I can have students who are on similar reading levels working together and helping each other. As I'm pulling a report, I would actually also be able to use EduSoft to highlight students who maybe are performing below the levels that I want them to so that I can zero in on exactly who I need to provide supports for. This is all built in. It's all something that you don't need to add to EduSoft, but our proposal would be to create tools that allow people to unlock this power for their own classroom instruction. As well, once you've actually learned how to do the basics on the site through watching the videos, you would also be able to download templates and existing files so that you just don't sort of come to a guessing game at the end. Did I get exactly what I wanted? But it would show you ahead of time, did I download something that matches what I was trying to get? So you'd have exercise files that would show you where you're headed. And then you would also have a forum for collaborating, discussing, sharing resources, asking questions, and sharing best practices around data-driven instruction. All of this would live on the Google site itself. So I'll give it back to Matt.
Go back to that PowerPoint.
Thank you.
Okay, so stakeholders. We saw 3 big groups that we want to contribute to this project. First one is central office. They have a great overarching big picture view of what things look like and where we need to direct our teachers. Principals drill down just a little bit more. Principals also see that overarching view, but they know the needs of their school. They know, for instance, my reading teachers could use a little bit more help at analyzing SRI data, just like Andrew mentioned. We would be able to solicit the feedback from the principals and best serve their needs. And then on the ground, teachers. What do teachers need to know how to do? We don't always know that. We need that back and forth communication so we can best serve the needs of the teachers so that they are best serving the needs of their students, thus facilitating and increasing communication among groups to build opportunities that support the aims of all, of course, student achievement. Principles of design. We had 5 overarching ideas for how we wanted this to work. Professional development should be easily and readily accessible. PD should be interactive instead of passive. It should be facilitating discussion about topics. It should be responsive to the needs of stakeholders. And most importantly, it should be focused on increasing student achievement. We're going to move right into our recommended actions with this. Now, Andrew already showed you our one-stop Google site for data-driven instruction PD. We already talked you through both those next 2 bullet points, so I'll jump right to create opportunities for communication. He briefly mentioned the forum. I imagine this is a larger forum where teachers can voluntarily contribute, say, I'm having a hard time analyzing this sort of report. How can I get help? Teacher-to-teacher collaboration facilitated online, so I don't need to drive over to another school anymore to talk about this. I don't need to go and get sub-coverage. I can do it on my own time in a digital manner when it works best for me. We also want to take suggestions from teachers for future data-driven instruction PD on the Google site. Simple little form. Here's a suggestion for where we should provide our next PD opportunity. And then lastly, integrate this into existing forms of communication to teachers. So it doesn't just get communicated to new teachers. It also gets communicated to veteran teachers through the newsletters. Lastly, I mentioned facilitating data-driven instruction through PEEP, so that's already covered. And then let's briefly talk about our implementation. So the proposal is largely budget neutral, at least from an infrastructure standpoint. Google Sites already used by multiple groups in PG County. We're familiar with it. And then YouTube video hosting is free, so we're covered on that block. Timeline, June to August. Creation of initial series of videos and resources with input from teachers in central office, so over the summer. August, introduce the site to new teachers at PEEP, and then also to veteran teachers through the newsletters. August, ongoing, create further resources based on teacher feedback. Again, that ongoing development of this site is a living resource instead of just something we do once. Thank you, and for your information, me and Andrew do have some robust development.
I like this. First of all, you didn't have a lot of costs for it, which is really good. But pretty much all I have really is just a comment about it, or observation that I see that it looks like your concept here is to put more responsibility back into the teachers. They're more responsible of how they, prepare their lessons or kind of restructure how they're teaching their children, and this is a good idea.
My overarching theory of change, and Andrew's overarching theory of change with all this, is that teachers want to be better.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely want to do the best they can for their students, and this is allowing them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've sat in several professional development sessions where lots of people have asked, how can I do more with this software? They want to expand their knowledge of it, and I think giving people the tools and opportunities would just actually get you a better return on investment for the tools that we're already paying for.
What would be the next iteration? So the next iteration of this. So let's say we are able to pull this off with the tools that we have already. In your opinion, in order to make PD as ubiquitous as we possibly could, what would be the next iteration of what you just presented?
I mean, what would be the next concept, or what would be the next iteration?
Of what the software can provide for teachers, or should provide.
Specifically to data-driven instruction or other topics?
Other topics.
That is an excellent question, Dr. Head.
A couple of things that come to mind is EduSoft and Performance Matters are fantastic tools, but they're specific to what